Now we have Madame M. Gaillard, thanks to whom we are here today and who made this event possible. She's the General Coordinator of the Normandy Chair for Peace, Associate Professor in Private Law at Sciences Po Rennes, and co-head of the Risk Division of the MRSH. She's a respected researcher on the subject of the rights of future generations and was awarded a prize by the French Academy of Political and Moral Science in 2010 for her book, Future Generations and Private Law Towards a Law for Future Generations, results of her PhD thesis. So, Ms. Emily, the floor is yours.
Merci beaucoup, Daniel. Je vais faire il faut faire en anglais, je ne me rappelle plus si on fait en anglais. Okay, so the floor is mine. I'm very pleased to take the floor today in order to support your webinar and in the following Professor Michel Prieur's presentation, I would like to emphasize on the transgenerational approach of human rights and how the Normandy Chair for Peace work on these topics can also give branches between different lines of research. So first of all, as Professor Michel Prieur has shown, there is this growing legal principle of non-regression for which he's working very hard and doing environmental diplomacy, pushing this principle through negotiations at various scales all around the world. And it's a privilege to have the opportunity to work under his mentorship also on this topic. So the link with future generations is, in other way, the principle of non-regression is also making system with the principle of continuing amelioration. And this principle of continuing amelioration of protection environmental law goes also with the one of progression of rights of future generations. The link between those two principles is that meanwhile, between them, there is this high project of recognizing human rights, the right to a healthy environment as a human right. As you all know, it has been recognized at the UN Council of Human Rights. And now next September, we all know that John Knox and David Boyd, the actual and the previous UN Special Rapporteur on Human Rights, have prepared this conference in order to submit to the General Assembly a vote on a resolution which will recognize the human rights to a healthy environment within the heritage of the Stockholm Declaration of 1972. And my aim is to emphasize on the fact that this right to a healthy environment is a complex human right. It's on the same time individual and collective rights. It's in the same time rights for present generations and future generations. And I have to also emphasize on the fact that talking about human rights of future generations or transgenerational approach of human rights have two main perspectives. The first one is that it is not an anthropocentric way of thinking. If you think about rights of future generations within the fundamental rights frame, that means that you do respect now the integrity of ecological systems and of the planet. So talking about rights of future generations makes also systems and build a bridge with the program of at the UN of Harmony with Nature. And this is a great alliance that can be announced between our cultures. It is now more and more shared around the world that some countries do not like to talk about human rights because they do not feel this concept is not universal for them. And for other countries and for indigenous people, it is more the entry of harmony with nature. And this is a change of paradigm. So I would like to say that the Normandy Chair for Peace is really working for this great alliance through culture and through different regions. And maybe normally we're going to organize an international conference within the Inter-American System on Rights of Future Generations and Harmony with Nature, under the presidency of the rapporteur of the rights of second generation human rights. And this will be announced during September or October, during our NCP summer school. So this great alliance is, as Professor Michel Prieur said, based on this right to life. Actually, if we want to recognize a right to life, we have to integrate the environmental issues, the environmental dimensions, and we have to renew our way of thinking in human rights. My work personally is to emphasize on these rights of future generations, which is a second aspect. The idea is to renew the way of thinking human rights and to take any generations of human rights and to propose a transgenerational way of thinking and of acting. I've been teaching that for the last 5 years at Sciences Po Rennes in a course, and it was a great pleasure. And we organized all together April 2021 a webinar when the Supreme Tribunal of Germany recognized the human rights of future generations and the fundamental duties towards future generations. And this is a breakthrough in the way of thinking fundamental rights and duties. I'm not talking about human rights. As you have understood, I was saying that was a momentum to create an alliance with harmony with nature. So we can emphasize on fundamental rights, which can be claimed in front of jurisdiction, and also fundamental duties. In 2011, I was in Hungary participating to a conference organized by the Ombudsman of Future Generations at that time in order to promote and support his proposal of integrating the right to healthy environment into the Hungarian constitution. And at that time, I was already proposing transgenerational analysis of rights and duties of the French Charter for the Environment. You have to know that in France, we have a French Charter for the Environment, which recognizes the objective of sustainable development with this concept and the reference to the concept of respect for future generations, rights to a healthy environment, but many, many duties. Today, again, many judges and authors do not consider these duties to have fundamental values. But enriched by this case suit of Karlsruhe of last year, now more and more authors and judges are considering that we can take legal actions for future generations. So I will also say that Normandy Chef Office has published a book entitled Legal Action for Future Generations. We organized also a webinar on that topic with Katalin, who is member of the actual office of the Ombudsman of Hungary on the environment, and that this is also a new field coming on. So time has come to cross-regard our analysis, the process of transformation of our legal system, and how do we, our judges, are considering the protection of the environment for present and also future generations. So this was the sum of overview I wanted to share with you, and I will be very pleased to hear my colleague from Brazil. Thank you very much for your attention.